Broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
Good morning and welcome to the Gary Sutton Show, our final hour of the week today here on WOYK. 8:05, it is 38 degrees. Before I get to Joe DeCree here, I've got to tell you, this is kind of one of the more unusual things that I found. I ran across Brooks Robinson Plaza to head over to the bathroom for a moment, and as I was coming out, they had a couple little treats on the table there. This is one that I've never seen before. All right. Now, Fisher's popcorn. A lot of you know that from down at the boardwalk and all that. And a great popcorn, by the way. You know, great, especially caramel popcorn.
I love popcorn.
I love caramel popcorn. I really do. But I look at this one, Fisher's popcorn. It said, our popcorn just tastes better. And then it said, Old Bay seasoned caramel popcorn.
Oh, my.
I couldn't help myself. I had to say, I gots to know. I gots to know. And so I got it, and I took a couple bites of it. And it's actually pretty good.
Really?
But it's like I can't ever remember thinking about my caramel popcorn and saying, I wonder if there's any Old Bay seasoning around.
Exactly.
Or I wonder if I could put some ketchup on this if it would taste good.
No.
What about syrup?
Syrup.
Maybe some vinegar would be good on my caramel popcorn. You know, things that I would not normally, I would say normally I would have thought about Old Bay seasonings. I'll have Old Bay seasoning on my caramel popcorn when hell freezes over.
I would say maybe Old Bay on popcorn without the caramel.
Right. Old Bay belongs like on shrimp and things like that. But so anyway, by the way, it is when hell freezes over day, National Day. So what would you do when hell freezes over? You know, for example, maybe your husband would get you a nice Valentine's Day card when hell freezes over. I don't know. You know, that's coming around the corner, guys. Don't forget. I'm not even going to talk about that. I've made it this year. I am not talking about Valentine's Day the way I normally do every year. This year, I am not going to do it. I'm going to show you some real discipline.
Why the reticence?
It's a new me. It's a new me. It's a new time. Yeah, I'm just absolutely a changed man. I'm doing different things. I'm exploring other avenues, trying to be a Renaissance guy. You know,
is that right?
Well, maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Don't forget. It is also since we're on the subjects, it is Backward Day. Hug an Economist Day, Scotch Tape Day, National Fun at Work Day, and our food holidays, National Hot Chocolate Day on one hand, and Eat Brussels Sprouts Day on the other.
Yeah. With some Old Bay seasoning on it.
You know what? That might not be bad.
Work, yeah.
Yes.
A National Fun at Work Day, by the way, which I said is every day in this room. Every single day is National Fun at Work Day in this room. I mean, the joy that emanates from this room could warm the entire Brooks Robinson Plaza out here. It really could. I'm just saying. Did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Stone silent.
What? Yeah, I know. Awkward silence. Anyway, with that, we turn now to Major Joe DeCree. He's retired now, major in the Special Forces, a veteran of Kosovo, Afghanistan, and Iraq. He has been taught ROTC at Millersville. He was in intelligence down in Quantico, and that's our segment. Thanks so much for joining the show. I appreciate it.
How you doing, Gary?
You have had a long career, and now tell people a little bit about what you're doing now, because it really is in a whole nother direction, right?
Oh, yeah, geez, people ask me what I do. I really don't know. We moved to Montana, what, is it 15 years ago, 14 years ago?
Yeah, it was a while. Yeah.
In fact, you were the last guy we probably talked to when we left Pennsylvania. I think it was Christmas Eve.
It was.
We were driving west, taking the wagon train. I've done a bunch of, I taught ROTC out here for a while. I worked, in like juvenile justice for a little bit.
You made furniture for a little bit.
I did. Yeah. I had a rustic log business. People still call me about that. Every now and again, I'll make a piece.
Okay.
So I've got cool furniture in my house that I made, which is kind of interesting. Most people don't have that.
Right. And I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, you talk about taking logs and taking pieces of wood and turning them into something beautiful and looking really natural, and probably fits in really well with Montana decor, I would think. There it is. I mean, you had it. I saw some of the stuff you had. You sent me pictures when you did it, and I thought, oh, man, this is great stuff.
Yeah.
So, yes.
I couldn't make a living at it, but, yeah, I got cool furniture.
World talent, man. Yeah. Anyway, I won't even go that far into that.
And then I worked actually in a locked psychiatric facility with suicidal teens. That was kind of transformational. And somewhere along the way, I got some more college, and now I do a bunch of different things. I'm a police and fire chaplain, which I'm probably going to have to drop just for bandwidth.
Okay.
I am a chaplain at the local VFW. I do a lot of military outreach. Started a church, like a military outreach church. We call it Trinity Operations Center. It's a play on TOC, which is, if you were a ground pounder, you know what the TOC is. It's the battlefield headquarters. And let's see, what else do I do? I have a small LLC for, coaching and Christian counseling and things like that. So yeah, I really made some radical shifts and could not explain the journey other than here are the touchstone points. So yeah, right now, most of my life right now is, these 2 weeks, it's my granddaughter who's visiting us. And most of my time is, really spent, chasing vets around and trying to whip them back into shape after combat.
Yeah, talk about that and what goes into that, because and you've said so many times, and I don't mean to be a broken record, but you said, when you're mission oriented and you're accomplishing something every day, and you come back home and all of a sudden maybe you're not as mission oriented. It's a different kind of mission. Getting acclimated to the discipline that goes into that. Because you bring a certain kind of discipline from the military. I mean, it is a really hard getting back to normal kind of thing. Maybe you never get back to normal. I don't know. Your thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, normal's kind of a weird thing. And, my normal and your normal are different. Although, I'm an old man now. I've been retired almost as long as I was in now.
Right.
So it's I'm a different guy. The only thing Commando left about me is the former title. I got the same health problems as everybody else. I never really. Until I became physically unable to do the job, I don't think I ever really became a civilian. And I think most guys are like that. But they're looking for, a focus and stuff. And somehow, and I don't know if this is a society thing or a military thing, but family, husband and father, became unfulfilling, so guys, we're used to, I jumped out of planes, I shot at people, I got shot at, I called it an airstrike on a sniper one time. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Had a great cigar while that was going on. And, but somehow coming back and being a husband and a dad is like, it for a lot of people, a lot of guys, is like a lesser thing. It's not like a calling. And I had to learn that kind of the hard way, although my kids were my priority while they were home.
Right.
That's an odd change because there's no adrenaline. There's no, the decision making you make with kids is kind of mundane. One of the things I miss about combat is, and I do miss combat, is making decisions that really matter.
Right.
I think a lot of guys are like that. You got, when Neil Armstrong came back from space, what did he do? He became an alcoholic. Yeah. Right. So I think there's something of that. Now, a lot of guys make the transition, not a problem. Nick Freitas, if anybody watches him on TikTok or follows him on X, he's a legislator in the Virginia House of Burgess. He was a Special Forces guy too. Seamless transition, it seems. I got a buddy, John, when he got out of Vietnam, he went to school and became a teacher. That was always his life. And he taught for 40 years of, various places. Right. Some guys just make the thing seamlessly. I have to do everything the hard way. But there's a lot of guys that do everything the hard way. And so I think I talked to those guys. And so, coming back, husband, father, and finding, rediscovering faith for me was kind of an interesting thing. It's like, what I started to realize is, the spiritual warfare thing I think is real. And I see, that having fought what I consider to be evil, I start to see the presence of evil in places and like, okay, well, how do we fight this? What do we do? Okay. And then I started realizing, hey, I'm a special forces guy. This is an unconventional warfare op. Hey, well, I know how to do this. Yeah. I know how to do this. I went to school for this. So I started talking to other veterans about this. Like, hey, man, like this is going on. Look at what has been happening in the country, especially during the COVID, right? We've got, you have to wear a mask unless you're protesting and burning something down, that we approve of. Right. You have to get the vax unless you're one of us and you decide not to get the vax.
So you basically identified a mission that wasn't necessarily the physical battles anymore, but it was now more the psychological battles, the spiritual battles that really came out, and that's kind of how you kind of redirected your attention. Yeah.
And I also see a lot of those mental health issues as spiritual issues. The first casualty of war is not innocence; it's faith. It'll challenge your faith. And for people who never had it, I feel bad for you, real bad. Call me up, man. We'll talk about it. Like, let's get you sorted out. So between somewhere in all that, I picked up a pastoral counseling degree and thought, my mission in life is to try to help guys avoid their own stupid in ways that I did not. And so now, like I said, my focus is the thing we call Trinity Operations Center, which is still just not a very big church. It's kind of a micro church, but it's small but enthusiastic. I've got guys, Vietnam, millennials, even got a couple Gen Z guys, Okay. So we're working on it, one guy at a time.
Well, I was going to talk to you about some other things, but you got me entranced here with this, so I want to stay with this for a second. So you have a church there. You've got veterans of the church from different eras and different theaters and so forth. We got about 2 minutes left here, but tell me a little. Is there a common language there? I mean, is it like that kind of melds all of them together as you talk in your church to them?
I use the language of the grunt. We start every and military guys, especially military guys, don't like churchy language, so we don't even call them sermons. I just call them sessions. Okay. We start every session off with an operations order, which is something if and even the Coast Guard guys and Air Force guys who didn't really use such things. It's a very Marine and Army thing. Even the Coast Guard and Air Force guys who didn't use that can recognize it as, hey, this is military instruction. And I'll say, hey, we're in the situation paragraph. This is enemy forces we're talking about today. Or we're talking about, the crucifixion and resurrection. This is sustainment. This is command and control. This is the scheme and maneuver. Wow. And guys seem to kind of latch onto that. And I explained the whole unconventional warfare thing of, hey, look, if you look at Jesus and the apostles, right? The biggest unconventional warfare mission ever, and it's still ongoing. You take a small group of guys in denied territory. The Roman Empire was not kind, to Christianity for a long time, right? And they, by ones and twos, draw people into the cause, and in 300 years, that is the official religion of the empire. That is the successful UW operation.
Wow. That is fascinating.
And it's still ongoing. Yeah. And the more I look at the Bible, I see these kinds of things. And then I look outside and I see, I see the presence of evil in the world. And it's like, all right, guys, we can still do this, but we have to change tactics because the Bible changes tactics. Yeah. You start in Old Testament, it's nation building. David gets the sword and, or the stones and takes out Goliath and we establish Israel. In the New Testament, Jesus establishes the UW operation.
Boy, I'll tell you what.
Oh my God.
That's fascinating. And to put it in that kind of language that people understand that you're dealing with veterans here, really neat. Joe, I appreciate you being with us this morning. Great story, and I'm looking forward to next week with you, my friend.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. All right, man.
Have a great one. Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Joe DeCree, Major Joe DeCree. There's a fascinating one for you, how to take a sermon and put it into the words of veterans and get them all together in the same church, a church just for veterans. Interesting stuff. I didn't get to some of the other things I wanted to, but you know what? I think that was a pretty good story, wasn't it? We're going to take a break. We'll come right back. It's 8:18 here. Text the show, 833-478-4729. What do you think of the stories that you're hearing? What do you think of the guests that we have so far? What do you think of some of the things that you've learned about York County, small business today, veterans churches, the whole kind of thing? It's all right here for you. Get involved. 833-478-4729. And don't forget, on your email, you can go to Gary Sutton Show, Facebook. On your Facebook, go to Gary Sutton Show, and please share. Get the word out about us on your networks, okay? Share our stories. Share some of the podcasts that we have. You can find them at WOYK YouTube. Let people know that we're here. We want to get you as part of our listening family all right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Back after this is 8:19.